be doing my speech on gasoline versus ethanol. According to the United States Energy Information Administration, or the EIA, the United States alone uses 8,736,000 barrels of gasoline a day. This translates to 377 million gallons of gasoline per day, just for transportation uses. As a friendly neighbor and a consumer of gasoline, I've come to speak to you of the crisis of our generation. One viable alternative to the fossil fuels is ethanol, or ethyl alcohol. In a rapidly growing world, we're facing a crisis. Unfortunately, our primary fuel source, fossil fuels, is rapidly disappearing. According to the EIA, the future resource availability, given the current rate of consumption and total proved reserves, is about 50 years. So the question raised is this: what are the potential alternatives to fossil fuels, favorably ones that are more beneficial to the environment? Alternatives that scientists have suggested are 3 renewable resources, namely solar energy, wind energy, and hydroelectric energy. But they're, unless further expanded upon and improved, they all have major downfalls. As for solar energy, solar panels, they first of all don't work at night. Second of all, they take a fairly vast amount of energy to give an output because they're very inefficient. They only have a 22% efficiency rate, and solar panels are very bulky. So they take up a lot of space and they're an eyesore for many, and they are extremely costly because you have to put in the down payment at the very beginning to get the reward for the next 30 years while the solar panels work. So they're not really a viable resource because not everybody can draw the large amounts of money. So the next energy resource that scientists have suggested is wind energy. But wind energy also has its downfalls. First of all, wind energy requires turbines that are very, very noisy. They say that one wind turbine creates enough sound that is as loud as a car traveling at 70 miles an hour. And also, a major problem with wind energy is harvesting it, because wind is not constant and it varies from location to location, and it varies from no wind to storm forces. So you can't depend on it. There's no place or set area that gives you a certain amount of wind energy, so you're taking chances. And also, creating wind farms for cities would be a very massive project, because the largest wind turbine that we have at full capacity can only fuel or give enough energy to fuel 476 homes. So think about a city like Houston, where there's 4 million people. That wind farm is going to have thousands upon thousands of windmills that are working at full capacity in order to give enough energy for the entire city. So there's a lot of downsides to wind energy. And the next renewable energy source that scientists have suggested is hydroelectric energy, or energy from dams. Right off the bat, it's not very viable because creating a dam costs a whole lot of money, and it causes a whole bunch of environmental issues. See, in order for a dam to be cost effective, it has to run smoothly and efficiently for many, many, many years to get the money back for creating the entire dam. And environmentalists don't really like this because creating a dam changes the flow of rivers. It doesn't allow for fishes to migrate upstream. It changes water levels, which changes the environment. It creates massive flooding areas, which requires people to move. So the environmental effects, the list goes on, and people, it's really goes against a lot of people. So let's just say this one's counted out. So then scientists have presented us with a better, more viable energy resource, and this is ethanol. Unlike the other energy resources, ethanol production is very, very cheap, and there's lots of resources that you can pull from. Expanding ethanol production would encourage domestic job growth because we can produce ethanol right here in the United States instead of having to import 40% of our petroleum. Ethanol reduces air pollution because it burns much more cleanly. It might not be as efficient, but it doesn't produce all the greenhouse gases that gasoline does. Ethanol is also a renewable energy resource because it's created from sugars. I'll mention that later. But its keynote is that whereas our fossil fuels are disappearing, we can create ethanol again and again. And ethanol is a very easy replacement for gasoline, which is one big thing we're looking for. Ethanol can be put right into a gasoline tank with a few minor adjustments, and it works very, very smoothly. So ethanol is created by simple sugars such as sugars found in corn, potatoes, sugar cane, wheat, barley, and other starches. And we can break down the more complex sugars to create the simple sugars, and it's way cheaper and way more accessible than gasoline is, or it will be in the future. And with a bit of research and money to go into the research, we can overcome issues like the production inefficiencies or the problems that we're having right now because it's not a well-developed resource yet. So what can you do? As a citizen, or as a world, and as a nation, we're facing a crisis where we don't have enough energy to last for future generations. So as a citizen, what you can do to help is you can invest a bit of your money into companies that help research for ethanol, and that will help overcome these issues that I just spoke about. And also, you can support E10 gas, which is ethanol, which is 10% ethanol. So we're slowly introducing ethanol into the system. And let me leave you with this last remark. Can we shape the ways of our past to prepare for the future?
Thank you to our beautiful audience tonight. And of course, Mom.